bucks and be pretty happy about it, right? Because what exactly percentage is 500 of nearly 10,000? It's 5%. So if you can call a bottom within 5%, like it's pretty damn good, right?
Is like daily volatility sometimes.
Yeah,
easily.
But I mean, to call a bottom within 5% is pretty sick, because you could buy that with 20x leverage, never get liquidated, and like if you can call the bottom within 5% and 20x leverage it, and the price goes up 3x, you're up 60x on your money. So to be able to call bottoms is insanely profitable, and I think I'm good at it. Go to my calls channel and test it. Go look up the calls on the chart and see if I was right.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much for covering all of that. And now, before we go into the altcoins, maybe a very important question. We talked about the 100K before. What is actually your prediction for the 100K? Do you think there is a possibility that we reach it in 2019 already? Do you think it's into 2020 or maybe thereafter? And
I would say 2020.
Question, can you maybe also include something like the scenario we need for that from a TA point of view?
I would say 2020. I mean, it's easier to put on longer, larger, taller candles that cover more distance the further along the parabola you are. So if we continue in the parabola that we're at, and we went up about, 100% linearly every month, well, then how many extra, 100% moves do you have? Now, this math's a little weird, right? It's not exactly how logarithmic growth works, but it's if you just continue the chart forward and assume maybe 2 or 3 more 40% dips, it doesn't take that long to get up there, right? So we could make 20K by the end of the year if we wanted to, right? I mean, we could take 20K in a week if we wanted to. That if you look at the rate at which we were ascending now compared to the rate that we were ascending in 2017, there's parts on that chart that line up, and it gets very high very fast. So you could definitely do 100K next year. You could definitely do 20K this year. Now, I have no idea who came in and made those beautiful green candles. I don't know who they were. I don't know why they did it. I don't know where their money came from.
Donald Trump would say China.
They're not Googling it. The Google searches weren't up. The futures premiums weren't up. The options premiums weren't high, right? Whatever caused that to happen.
But on Baidu, the search engine for China, it was actually really going up the search volume for Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, hey,
some people
great.
say maybe the Chinese guys, and also on the on-chain data, the on-chain transaction volume, not the exchange transaction volume. Actually, at 4,500 to 5,000, we had a huge volume. Actually, way bigger as at 6,500 and so on. So there are some people pointing toward China and the United Arab Emirates buying OTC, actually on-chain OTC, obviously.
Sure, could be.
And filling up their bags beforehand. Who knows? I don't know, man. But
the thing is, they have to continue to do that if you want the same kind of accelerating price, right?
Yeah.
So if their bags fill and they stop, well, then we can go sideways or down. If they continue to need to fill up, they can keep going up, but I don't have any charts or metrics or access to intuit what's going on there. So I'm just, when CME was coming and Google searches were going up and people were, mortgaging their house to buy in, it was very easy to see where the new money was coming from. When the new money comes from La La Land, I hope it keeps coming in, but I have no idea, right?
Yeah. Probably won't. But thank you so much for that prediction.
Probably will. I mean, why not? Even shitty gold's going up. So if shitty gold can go up, new better digital gold can go up a lot more.
That's a very good key point, because let's go into the dirty part of the episode, into the altcoin part. And the question whether you think there will be an altcoin season possible, and if so, will there be an altcoin season for the majority of altcoins like in 2016-17? Will it only be for selected altcoins and the Doge altcoins will be left behind? And maybe you have also some time frames or so, or specific price targets for Bitcoin being a signal for the altcoin season, something like that maybe?
I believe that the previous altcoin season was a result of people getting rich on Bitcoin and then their friends hearing about it, their friends being jealous, their friends feeling they missed the boat and wanting to buy the next Bitcoin, and then buying alts, and then alts went up, and then their
Cheap
friends got
alts.
jealous, and then
XRP is so cheap.
yeah, they were right. They were never cheap, but they seemed cheap when the speculative bubble was happening. So because a lot of people missed this 5x move from the bottom, and a lot of retail wasn't in, then we have a lot less bragging to friends, and we have a lot less friends Googling and looking for the next alternate thing. And I think that you tend to get altcoin season after you've had a bull run in Bitcoin. But since so many missed this bull run, it's kind of just perhaps getting started now. Then maybe a year after it's run, people look for alternatives enough that you get a run in the altcoins. And I don't think it'll be the same altcoins. I think it'll be new altcoins. Why? Because everyone that bought and got wrecked is sell pressure now because they bought higher. There's a lot of people holding bags from higher that are happy to get out at break even after sitting through all the pain. But when you get into a new coin that doesn't have a bunch of bag holders from higher, then it's easier price discovery with less people pushing the price down with their bags that are already full. So yeah. I think that if another alt season doesn't have to happen, if Google searches don't pick up and retail doesn't pick up, I don't think that governments and larger entities are trying to get into shitcoins, and that's the reason that Bitcoin has outperformed them all recently, nearly all of them. So alt season is not a guarantee, and I think it would be maybe a year and a half from now, maybe a year from now, if we get one. Or, I have a token coming out. It's programmed to pump. If it pumps hard enough, maybe that could kick off the alt season. I'm not sure. It's because you're waiting for something else to trigger it. It doesn't really appear to trigger itself on its own. The only thing that could trigger it on its own is advertising, and I'm not seeing ads. So if it's not doing its own advertising, and there's not really any interesting stuff coming out except my thing, well, then you need something else to trigger it.
Yeah, so everyone can check it out. It's Bitcoin Hex. His project is called Bitcoin Hex. I think
we changed it to just Hex. It's hex.win now. We dropped the Bitcoin out of it. It's still free for Bitcoin holders, but we got rid of the name.
I like it that you dropped it because all of the people using the name for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question because I agree on most of the things you said on the altcoin season and our own thinking about the altcoin season. We made actually 2 videos about it. That price rise, once Bitcoin reaches the new all-time high, the media coverage might be so huge to suck in all this noob money and onboard them onto the shitty projects, if I might say it like that.
Could be.
Would you actually agree on that point? Because if we look back in 2017 in January, once Bitcoin broke the old all-time high, that was the exact day, like really up to the exact second, the dominance of Bitcoin plunged, and it plunged from, 70% or so down to 35% in a matter of 3-4 months. And that was really on the exact day Bitcoin reached the old all-time high. Of course, history not always repeats itself, but the thinking behind that the retail money on boards and actually gets suckered into that altcoins could be a legit argument, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that narrative's fine. The only thing that I think subtracts from that one is that we have had so much press coverage from Facebook's Libra that whatever we were going to get from new price movement is going to be less because we already got it from Libra. And they can only do so many spots per day on crypto, right? And they were pretty well saturated for a few weeks there. So, sure. Yeah, I think making new all-time highs is a very important fundamental thing to occur. I guess you could call it technical as well. But we already have a ton of press from Libra, a ton.
The narrative behind the headlines is a little bit differently. For Libra, it's like maybe some people say, oh, Bitcoin killer, corporate cryptocurrency coming out. But once Bitcoin reaches the all-time high, everyone thinks, okay, it was in a bear market. Now it's no new all-time high. I'm missing out. They are just Googling Bitcoin. There's coin market cap. They see all the green numbers, and then they jump in. I think the narrative behind the headlines is maybe a little bit differently. So I have some hopes in that scenario, actually.
Yep. I mean, I wouldn't mind making new all-time highs at all. I would be very okay with that.
Of course, of course, yeah, I agree on that. So now maybe if we get a little bit more specific, also in the altcoin section, are there besides your own project, Hex, are there any other altcoin projects you are keeping an eye on? You are maybe like planning to buy and hold. I'm pretty sure you're not trading them, but
so I don't see any reason to jump in early. Things that have gone down 80% can go down another 80% and then another 80%. So I'm still holding a bag of Prime coin. You know, I was told there'd be a merge fork.
Old school.
The merge fork didn't happen. It is nice that it's one of the only coins that has a legit proof of work, isn't possibly a security, therefore, you know, still is on Pulsex when Pulsex like delisted a lot of other things. Hopefully the devs do something nice with it. I'm not willing to sell it at a huge loss, so I'm just bag holding it. What else? I think Monero is very functional and useful. I have no idea what that means for the price at all, because not many people really use these things. If you did need to actually use something, Monero is great. What else? I think hex.win is amazing. Program to pump, pumpamentals.com. And, you know, it does something a lot of these other tokens can't do. So like Bitcoin had 10 years of very, very high inflation of miners getting block rewards and selling them for electricity and mining hardware. And that hurt the price. So in Hex would do the same. We'd go and jump 10 years in the future to a lower interest rate, a lower inflation rate than Bitcoin currently has, until the halvening anyway. And you know, we pay the holders instead of the miners. So it's like getting free mining equipment and free electricity, but you don't even have to ruin the environment to do it, because we're just piggybacking another system that's already doing it. Other altcoins. Yeah, I mean, there's not that many that are going to do well until that other trigger kicks in, right? So yeah. No one in an environment where no one actually uses these things for anything other than speculation, the one that is the best to speculate on is probably the one that's been doing the best and has the most on-ramps and has the most press, and that's still Bitcoin.